I hope. There we go.
Is it still thinking?
Think we're live. I'll quickly check. Wait.
Drop us in the comments if you see us. Good morning, everybody. Kona. Oh, there we are. We're live.
Great. We're live.
Good to see you. Happy Friday. So we we're thinking of the next thing to do because this has already been so loaded with goodness that it was hard for me to think of something that still hadn't been covered. And so when I was thinking of what to do, I kind of came across of what we have been working with, especially in the last year. And I thought, oh, we haven't really talked about that at all. And so this is going to be very different than what you've done up until now. It's week 6, right?
Yes.
Am I right?
We are.
It's going by so fast. So fast. Okay, this is going to feel like I have a long story to share. And so I want to keep it a little bit more brief, but it's not going to be brief because it covers a heavy topic. We're going to be talking about the elephant in the room.
The one thing we're all avoiding.
This is a big deal in Plexus because personal growth affects our business so much. It makes such a big difference to where we are in life. Okay, so we're week 6 of Kona, and often when we're growing our business, we're thinking like, have you ever thought, maybe I should put the question out to you. Have you thought that I'm doing it all, I'm doing the lessons, I'm doing each of the Kona, it's not working. I'm doing my IPA, nothing is working, and it's so discouraging and so frustrating, right? And so we're going to talk about the power of our minds. We're going to talk about how our hearts and our minds are aligning together. We have to be in sync. We're going to talk about what you're avoiding. Subconsciously, our minds are super powerful, so very powerful. And so I've been diving into some personal coaching, which has been, I was telling John, I feel like there's a zipper and someone just opened it up. But it's been so good for reflection, so very good for reflection. And most times, exactly what we're avoiding is what we need to be doing. And so Sheila has been on a personal growth journey a lot, like hugely. And I've learned so much from her as well. And that's the key word here. This is a journey. It's not a race. And it's going to look different for every one of you. It looked different for me. It looked different for her. It'll look different for you because of where we are in life and because of who we are.
And there's no finish line.
No.
There's no crossing the finish line. I'm done. No. I don't need to do
I've
personal
arrived.
growth
No,
anymore.
You have never arrived.
No, you haven't. It'll be a lifelong journey.
And we're here because God called us to be. That's the big thing, right? Like He's called us to this journey and He has given us this path. And so it'll look different because that's the path that He gave you. So we are subconsciously wired to resist pain. That's just something that human nature, we come with that. We're pre-wired, right? And so when we suspect that something is going to be painful, we automatically resist it. We avoid it. We procrastinate until we know it's exactly what we need to be doing. And then it becomes like almost barf-like. It's like, I don't want to do that. Because you know why you're avoiding it. And so watch those feelings. They matter so much. So what are you avoiding? And what frustrates you the most, right? What makes you think that you're stuck? We hear these words of, I'm stuck. No, you're not. Subconsciously, your brain is telling you to avoid something. Wow. That's not stuck. You're choosing to stay there. When I recognized this, it was just like, oh my goodness, how did I keep myself here, right? Okay, so who are you and do you truly love that person? That's a big deal. Maisie is going to come and join us. Okay, some tools to help us grow in this area. This is going to be huge for you because it's not a 1-week journey. This is going to be tools that you're going to be using future-wise a lot. And like literally when I look back and I think of the personal growth that I've done over the years, you might use this a few years from now.
And it might not be just for plexus.
That's
It's going to
true.
be for your marriage, for your
Yes.
parenting, for your friendships. Literally, this will affect your whole entire life.
Okay, simple tools to help us grow. Number one, there is something called the law of the lid. That is such a big deal. This is one of the very first lessons that I learned when I came to Plexus. And I created a vision in my brain that whenever I felt stuck, I felt like I had, snapped the lid on my head. And I was always wondering of how to get past it, how to get past it. How do I lift that lid, right? Lifting the lid just basically, well, actually your lid just basically determines your leadership level, the amount of self-doubt that you're entertaining. It reflects the growth in your business and in your life, like generally in yourself, because of where that lid is keeping you. So the law of the lid basically speaks on that you have only the capacity to reach to that level, and then you subconsciously put a lid on yourself, and everyone who's under you comes up against that lid. And so if you don't grow, the people under you cannot grow either. And if you don't lift that lid and grow, you're like capping the capacity of what's possible. That's way too sad. That should never happen. Never. So what do? Well, number one, thoughts matter. Thoughts are everything, right? So something that I have learned, I'm going to explain quickly. State. You're always checking your emotional state. So your emotional state is what you focus on, what your language is, and what your physiology is. So remind yourself, and I actually put a screensaver at one point in time on my phone that said emotional state. It was a triangle, and then on one side it said focus, on the other side it said language, and the bottom it said physiology, right? And so every time I open my phone, I was like, oh, check my state, because your brain needs to be rewired. You need new thoughts, very related to John Maxwell. This all stems from personal growth books and stuff like that, right? And I'm putting together a whole bunch of different speakers. So check your language. What are you telling yourself? What are you talking about? What are you subconsciously thinking when you hit send on that message, right? And so that's a really, really big deal of where you're affirming it. What are you focusing on? What are the thoughts that you consistently keep coming back to? Why are you keeping that thought in the forefront of your mind? Because you're focusing on it. Physiology is probably the easiest one to change. This is your body, your movement. And when you find yourself like down on yourself, when you find yourself like consistently focusing on the negative, focusing on that self-doubt and that anxiety and that language that doesn't grow you at all, your body language is going to reflect that. You're not going to want to exercise. You're not going to want to be among people, all the things. We're so connected, right?
You will even just be physically tense.
Yes.
You'll find that you're not taking deep breaths.
Yes.
You're holding in your breath. You're
Yes.
not...
Yes.
There's
deep
no
breath.
There's no
Release
peace in your muscles.
Good point. We can and we are in control of our thoughts. Like I know that I've talked to several people and it's like, well, it just happens. No, we're subconsciously choosing that. We are choosing that. And so several key things matter. I learned something about personal affirmations that really, really made it clear to me of why it doesn't work for some people. I've talked to some people and they say, personal affirmations don't work. Yes, they do. They do when you check your state, when you are in alignment with your heart and your mind, and you believe what you're saying. There's a key factor that you have to bring to the table, and that is belief. Belief about yourself, okay? So what are you affirming on the daily? And why are you focusing on that? Sometimes we really, really need to dig deep into these hard things. This is something that you really have to become aware of. What are you keeping to coming back to? Like you're consistently going to come back to something, right? And then really, honestly, what's the worst thing that could happen if that happened? Sometimes we overthink those thoughts so much, and we have, created this massive story in our brains that it'll be the worst thing on earth ever, when in essence, if it did happen, really, honestly, probably wouldn't be a big deal. That's how we train our brains, right? We have thought that thought over and over. Okay, so another thing that we do with these thoughts is we transfer our thoughts into our post into our messages, but did you die?
I like that, Samantha. But did you die?
We never have died yet.
Not yet.
It might have been hard, but we didn't die.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, transferring our thoughts. When we sit in this state, we transfer those thoughts to our messages. We transfer those thoughts to our post. We transfer those thoughts when we're talking face to face to people. They feel that. And it's crazy of how when you read a post, you can hear that person. If you know that person, even if you don't know them very well, you can still sense what they transferred. And that's going to make people either repel or gravitate towards you. That's going to be your magnet. That's why they say this is the law of attraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? We have to check our state. That's going to be one of the very big exercises that we're going to be doing this week. Go get a screensaver. I'm not going to write this down, but this is just for your own reminders. Get a screensaver and then just check your state, your focus, your language, and your physiology, okay? All right, and then another thing that we have to do is claim our growth, and then we have to love who we show up to be. We have to stop all the trash, right? So this is my analogy that I've had in my brain for like years and years, and it's starting to become more and more clear as I am leaning into the hard. Leaning in just means be very mindful of what you're resisting, because it's going to be exactly the thing that you need to be doing. That's the leaning in. The things that you're avoiding, the things that you're procrastinating about, the things that you're having self-doubt about, your anxiety, your overthinking, all the things, right? That's what you lean into. You lean into that point. And I'm leaning into the camera. Okay, here's my table theory. Plexus has a huge table. Every one of you guys comes with a chair. You already have a chair. I have a chair, you have a chair. We all have a chair. With that chair, you come preloaded with gifts and talents that are 100% unique to you. Only you bring that to that table. Okay? Create this vision in your brain, because we do this. We downplay of what we come with. And so now you have this vision of we're all standing with a chair. There's a massive table. There's room for everyone. And so we all sit down at this table, and every one of us puts our gifts, our talents, and our strengths on that table. Guess what happens? There is power in an army. We become an army. We're not an island. We're not an individual with just a few little things. We become an army. And guess what? Every one of them is needed at that table, because they are unique and they are 100% nothing like anyone else, okay? So this is what we do. So your gifts and talents are specifically designed and given to you to help the people that are going to come to you. Think about that. I can't use her gifts. She can't use mine, because these are mine. We can share them, we can put them on the table and both bring them, but individually we're not strong, okay? And so, but we think that's not good enough, right? And then we start emulating someone else. Well, Sheila's so detail oriented, and she, brings things to a higher, more better level. So I want to do things the way that she's doing. What's happening to me then? I'm not working in my strength. I'm not genuine and authentic to who I am. And people sense that. They see that you're not showing up as you. They see that you're trying to be someone else, right? Mm-hmm. And so we claim this whole fake it till you make it. And we strive and we struggle and we're frustrated, or we give up. We give up. How sad is that? You have a chair, you have room at the table, you come preloaded. You're not supposed to give up. You're supposed to bring what you already have, right? Okay, so we need to make a date with ourselves, and we need to take a peek inside. And like I said, that whole zipper thing, open up that zipper and just pull it open. See what's in there, okay? And then you have to be able to see your own goodness. You have to be able to see your own strengths. You have to accept them and love those strengths and gifts and talents. You have to stop any comparing. We're not comparing at all, at all. This is 100% you. And then you just come. You bring to the table what you have. Okay? Sheila has an incredible addition to share the challenge alongside of this. This is going to be very, very different compared to what you have done up until now. But this will be something that you'll be using for years and years to come in your business, not just this week. So Sheila is going to be sharing on vulnerability. This has been a big deal, like for both of us.
Yes,
very much so.
Majorly. I think for myself, I started my dig deep into vulnerability like in January of this year. And I was, like Mom said, I was in that state of, I was doing all the right things for such a long time, you guys. For such a long time. For 4 years, I had been at Senior Gold and I was doing all the right things. I was doing the events. I was showing up. I was doing the IPA. I was signing up people. But I wasn't getting anywhere. And I was not moving forward.
Exactly. And we've all felt that at some point in time in our journey, right? And so this is a key ingredient. This is like, vulnerability is like missing the eggs for the cake. You can't miss it. You have to.
No.
You have to claim this. You have to put it inside of you. And I'll be very honest here. I'm a type 8 on the Enneagram. Vulnerability is probably the very hardest thing that I have had to do in my life. Guys, when I opened that zipper, it was one little prong at a time.
Type 1s feel that too.
Because so we relate on that.
We're perfectionists.
But it's been the absolute key ingredient that has projected our business, that has projected our relationship, our
marriages, my children, friendships, even just dealing with the general public.
Absolutely. Seeing people, loving people, knowing where they are in life. Okay?
Bringing peace into your life.
Peace, alignment, and loving yourself. Huge deal. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about vulnerability and what this challenge is going to look like, and we'll let you guys go. We know this is going to take longer, but we felt that this challenge needed the explanation.
It's worth it. It's worth it. So vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. We're just going to start there because that's what I always felt. I felt that showing my emotions, stepping up and being raw and real and showing people the ugly side of me, I always felt that I was being weak. And I needed to stand up and I needed to be strong and I needed to show them that I was put together. My perfectionist mindset needed to show everybody that I had everything together. That's not real, and you're not connecting with people, especially not in this business. Because when we are here in Plexus, we meet people at their worst very often. And we're supposed to be there to uplift them and uphold them. And if they can't see that we're real, then they don't want to show us they're ugly either.
That's that repelling. They feel the thoughts that we transfer.
And you guys, this does not mean that we become dumping grounds for garbage.
No.
That's not it at all. We're not going to be negative Nellies where we're just dumping all our garbage on everybody. But we're also not going to pretend that everything's perfect.
Sometimes we gotta reveal the mess to bring the message.
It's okay to be real. It's okay to be yourself because nobody is perfect. There's so many benefits to opening up and to pulling that zipper down, because if we don't have vulnerability in our lives, we can't experience true peace and true joy. And this is a God-given thing. God has made us as beings of feelings and emotions, and He wants us to connect on that level. It's like this thing that can draw people together. He's made us that way. And so if you are holding yourself back, you never get to have that deep connection, that emotional relationship that's so important. And this is, like I said, this is in so many different areas, for your kids, for your husband, for your parents, for everything, right? And then another thing is, if you're not being vulnerable, you'll find that you're not creative.
Yes.
Because with vulnerability comes creativity. Because when you are being creative, you're opening yourself up to failure. And I'm not just talking about painting or drawing. This is in sending a message to somebody, being open to sharing things that you probably wouldn't have been able to share before. Because when you open yourself up for failure, you're being vulnerable. Because there's no guarantee that you're going to succeed. There's no guarantee that it's going to turn out perfectly. Even love is vulnerable because you are bringing in that other person and you are trusting them to love you back, but it's no guarantee. You never know what the outcome is going to be. And so our challenge for this week is going to be a little bit different. I am a big fan of
Brene
Brown. You guys, and I'll share some of her books at the end because, like we've said before, this is not just this 1 week.
Mm-mm. Oh, Brené Brown came into her life like years ago.
Years ago, yeah, years ago. I really started digging in January, but this is like it's growing, and don't expect like I'm gonna sit down and do this now, and it's all gonna come together. That's not going to happen.
Like we said, you might use this years from now.
Yes. And it's going to be like God is chiseling you a little piece at a time. Last week I had a massive, massive breakthrough. And it's probably going to come with a ton of tears and a lot of pain. And that's just being very honest. Mm-hmm. It's not easy, but it's so worth it. Afterwards, I messaged Mom and I was like, I'm sitting here smiling and crying because I feel so free. I feel like this weight has been lifted off of me that I just feel like I can let go.
And when you do recognize, I'm just quickly going to butt in, and you release that weight, that's when you're able to show up genuinely as yourself.
And that's when you're able to give more. Mm-hmm. You're actually able to be there for others fully without depleting yourself. And that's
expectations,
huge.
Standards.
Yes. So our challenge this week is going to be a little bit different, like we said. What we want you to do is we've been turning outward for the last so many weeks. We want you to turn inward this week, and we want you to focus on you.
Alignment.
We want you to focus on what you are in here. And so one of the things that Brene talks about is to make a first draft, basically. It's writing out your feelings. And this isn't, you can't just skip over this and hurry it up. But there's no such thing. Writing out your feelings can be very raw, can be very messy. And I want you guys that when you're sitting down and you're writing out your feelings, don't hold anything back. I want it to be to the point where if somebody comes across your notes or your journal, here's my journal. If somebody comes across it and they read it, they would think you were absolutely nuts. Because you are just writing out every feeling.
It's a brain dump.
It's a dump. You're dumping it. But here's how we're going to do it. We're going to do it 5 days, 15 minutes each day. And on each day, we're going to have a certain thing that we're going to have you open up about. Just to give you a little bit of prompters. Just to help you dig a little bit deeper into certain areas of your life. So on Monday, and you don't have to do them in a certain order. That doesn't matter. Just 5 days, 15 minutes each day. It's a small chunk. And so each day you're going to sit down and you're just going to look at that topic and you're just going to dump about it. And the reason why you can't do this all in one day is because you need to process. So if you come to Friday and you haven't done any of the 5, it's not going to be effective. You can maybe sit down and write it out, but it's not going to make a difference in here. Because you need to sit down on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a little bit every day, and just write it out. Because on Tuesday, you're going to be thinking about what you wrote on Monday. And you're going to be like, oh, well, that actually makes a lot of sense when you send that message. That's what I was doing. I was holding back in that area. It's going to help you process. It's going to help you be more aware of your thoughts, your physiology. It's going to help you show up better. It's going to help you be more there. And so we have 5 different ones. I'm going to read them out. So number 1, how do you feel about your business? And I want you to sit down and I just want you to write all your feelings, okay? Like I said, do not hold back. Do not try to sugarcoat it. Don't try to make it look pretty. Literally just, and you're not showing this to anybody. You don't have to show this to us. This is for you. This is for you. How do you feel about your business? Are you where you want to be right now? Are you in management mode? Are you happy with your success? Number 2, how do you feel about your level of leadership? Do you have areas where you see yourself avoiding growth?
That lid.
Do you have areas where you see yourself pushing away? Number 3, how do you feel about your goals and your personal why? Do you have a why? Yes. Have you made a big, crazy why? Do you have something that is pushing you, that is driving you? Or are you afraid to make that why? Number 4, how do you feel about your personal growth journey? Because this is hard. I avoided the whole personal growth thing for a long time. Actually, to be really honest, I used to think that people who read self-help books were people who did not know how to do life and who were crazy. Come a long way. Are you holding back? Are you pushing into the things that make you uncomfortable?
Leaning in.
This week will probably make you kind of uncomfortable, just to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. And then lastly, number 5, we want you to write out 50 things that you love about yourself. 50 areas you see as strengths, 50 areas that you admire about yourself. We want you to focus on the things that you bring to the table.
I'm going to give you an example of how it means to actually dig into yourself. So we all know that eye contact is pretty much the universal language. We connect with people through eye contact. We look at each other and we recognize the connection. We see often what people need, think, or want by eye contact. Here's the thing. Do you make eye contact with yourself? So I'm going to challenge you to go stand in front of the mirror. We look in the mirror 1,000 times a day. We walk by, we check ourselves out, we do our makeup, we do our hair, blah, blah, blah. We look in the mirror. But do you look into your eyes? Stop and just have a date with yourself right there. See what's going to happen. You can draw those 50 things right from that date.
And if you're finding any of these hard, like if you're sitting down and you're like, I can't write about this, go do that first. Go stand in front of the mirror and just be there. Just look at yourself. Look at this person that God has created. He made you who you need to be right now.
Preloaded with all those gifts and talents.
You are who you need to be.
You already have what it takes.
Don't just focus on who you want to be, because who you are right now is who you need to be right now.
And you are exactly where you need to be right now.
You are. And so do that first. Give yourself that time. This is not something that you can just push and rush. It's going to be something that it's going to have to
resonate.
Yes.
It'll have to like really get that, scooper in the bottom and really dig hard.
You're just going to have to, it's not going to be easy peasy.
Okay.
But
are we wrapping it up?
I think
gone for like half an hour.
We're a little bit long today.
Yeah.
And yes, these are going to be written into the
post,
so that you guys can go back to them. 15 minutes for 5 days. That's it. You
guys
can do
50 things. Here's the thing. These are things that we can do throughout life all the time. All the time. This is not a 1-week lesson like we said. Keep doing your IPA. Keep filling out your pod sheet. Do all those things. Those are things that you bring to the business already.
Still show up.
Yes. Always still show up. Do the things, right? Action cures everything. Action cures everything. So alongside of this action of what we've been doing all of Kona, bring this and start digging in to see where you're going to be 6 months, a year, 2 years from now. You will think back to this lesson. If you're going to do it, this is an honor system. Yeah. This is truly an honor system because only you are going to know if you truly did it.
Yes.
Okay.
And be very aware of when you are doing your IP this week of how you're going to show up differently. Because you might be seeing areas where you've held back and areas where you haven't been digging in as deep.
And you know what? All of us need some counseling. All of us need some reparenting. All of us need something, right? If you need to talk to someone, go do it. Don't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Not at all. We all have those areas in life that we need to put something on the table, have someone else's perspective and heart care for us for a bit. And then we pick up the pieces and we go on. So we're going to make an end to this. But I'm super excited. If this is going to do like just a little bit for you, maybe even in a year, I'll be satisfied. But I believe truly it will do amazing things. Amazing things. We're a testimony to this journey, and it would be super unfair of us to not share it with you guys.
One more thing, if you are wanting to dig in a little bit deeper, get the book Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. That is the perfect place to start.
Vulnerability.
She will be teaching you about vulnerability and shame, because so many of us live in unnecessary shame. So if you want to dig deeper, get yourself that book and read it. And I'm excited to see how this week is going to go.
You might have to read only a few pages at once, like I did the first time.
Oh gosh.
And then I just put it away.
I bawled.
But I kept coming back to it. And then I read it the second time. And here we are, right? And so today is day 1 of your journey. We can't wait to see where this is going to take you. I'm so, so, so honored to be a part of Kona. You guys are all amazing. And this community is, like like nothing else. You won't get it anywhere else. Stand up proud and share it. We love you guys. Take care.